How are you all doing tonight? My name is Bigbobbedboi, and welcome to SoD Hunter's Essential Guide, Marksmanship Edition. Yeah, I'm breaking these up by spec. I wanted to do one big one, but that won't work for SoD. So here's what we're going to cover in this one. Marksman builds, so that'll be your runes and talents, rotations, pets, stats and consumables, professions, and talk a little bit about leveling and marksman's place in the meta. Chapters are in place as always, in case you want to reference some stuff later. You know, I started leveling my undead warlock recently, and I got another game here I've been playing with a lot of extremely cool undead characters. I'm having a great time trying to collect them all. There are so many cool undead characters. Bad El Khazar, Blood Gorge, Ma Shaled. I need them all. And Raid is about to drop a ton of new content this month, and I mean a ton, with the Cursed City. There are 100 stages to complete in the Cursed City. 100. Even battles where you gotta fight multiple bosses at once. Gives me some Ornstein and Smo vibes. Lots of really cool stuff here, and I am trying real hard to clear all 100 stages. My undead bros will never let me down. Especially Scortorsus, this guy is thick. If you haven't started yet, I'd recommend giving it a try. You can scan my QR code in the corner, or use one of the links below. You'll get some extremely nice stuff like, whoa, that can't be right. 2 epic champions. 2, damn. Lightsworn and Juliana, both very strong heroes. You'll get Lightsworn first. He's from the Sacred Order faction. He's a very strong champion and really going to plow through some campaign bosses. Then after reaching level 15, you'll get Juliana, my favorite Sacred Order champion. I mean, look at that. Yes. Just yes. Plus, the best part, once you get going, we can play together. That's right, in-game, I'm Big Bobs. I have a clan, and you are invited. Because I can't take on these clan bosses alone. I tried. If you're liking what you see, the link is in the description, and I hope to see you in-game. Alright, runes. Chest. For Marksman, Cobra Strikes is worthless. And mostly worthless for other specs now too. Thanks, Blizz. Aspect of the Lion. This is now much improved. It's no longer an aspect. You can now use Aspect of the Hawk with Lion. This has some implications for our talents. Also, Blizz called Aspect of the Hawk Aspect of the Hunter. Is that because they don't know shit about Hunter, or are they adding in another rune later called Aspect of the Hunter and got confused? I don't know. Anyway, we still would rather not use this. It's not bad, but if we need kings and we're the only hunter, taking Lion is the right choice. Master Marksman. This is our main rune for Marksman. And I guess that makes sense because it has Marksman in the name. The 5% crit is very nice. But Marksman is very, very mana intensive, especially at these low levels. Even though the fights in BFD are pretty short, it's super easy to run That 25% helps out a ton. Weirdly, it is only shot abilities, so that doesn't work on stuff like your stings, still useful. Lone Wolf. This rune sucks. There was no reason to nerf this, at least in PvE. This is a net loss in almost every situation. Even running as Marksman, my pet is doing between 10% and 20% of my damage. If I have a fight where the pet cannot contribute, literally at all, this is maybe just barely worth it, if the fight is very short. Because giving up the 25% shot cost reduction and 5% crit is a very, very tough sell. Especially when the chances of my pet dying are extremely low. I don't think my pet has died once in BFD. Legs. Kill command. Throw that shit in the garbage. It's been nerfed to the Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion twice. Serpent Spread. Very, very mediocre AoE rune. If you're AoE farming dungeons, this is bad, but other leg runes don't really do anything for AoE farming, so you can use it if you want. Flanking Strike. This may be okay. I'll talk a little bit about weaving later. There's a little bit of potential here if you're weaving. Sniper Training. This rune also kind of sucks, but it's the best option we have. The reason it sucks is the uptime. There's a lot of movement in BFD fights. I mean, like the turtle boss and maybe Aquinas, you can get away with not moving too much. but even going out of your way to not move, the uptime on this is not great. It's different than the Wrath version because once you stand still long enough, that one gives you a buff with crit for 15 seconds. I don't understand this rune at all. It wasn't that OP in the first place, but they nerfed it down to 10. The uptime isn't that high with the fights we have. It was already an awkward ability in Wrath. Unfortunately, it's generally the best we have. Gloves. Carve. This one is trash. Explosive. Explosive shot. Explosive shot was unjustly massacred. But it is now an AoE rune, so if you're AoE farming, it has a place there. Chimera shot. This is our main marksman rune, which was also unjustly massacred for some reason, but it's still doing okay damage. It's going to make up around 15% of our damage with another small portion from the serpent effect of Chimera. Alright, so the talent. 5 in efficiency. This works for shots and stings. Super useful. 5 in lethal shots, really good but boring, it's just 5 ranged crit. And the big one, aimed shot. Aimed shot is going to make up a big portion of your damage as a marksman, probably around 5% more than Chimera. Also, there was an update for weapon swing timer. It now properly tracks aim shot cast time again. Very nice. After that, I actually wouldn't go for Hawkeye now that we know the fights. In BFD, there's not really any fights that particularly benefit from Hawkeye. So I would go for 5 out of 5 in Improved Hawk. This is actually a bit useful now, since even if we have no run Lion, we can still use Aspect of the Hunter. I mean, Aspect of the Hawk. So that would be 5, 11, 0. Master Marksman, Chimera Shot, and Sniper Training, maybe flanking. Rotations. You would think the rotation would be pretty easy, just classic rotation plus Chimera. It's a little bit more complex than that. So here's the classic rotation to refresh your memory. Auto shot into aimed shot, auto shot into multi-shot. It's pretty simple, but honestly, I really liked it. Super enjoyable flow. One of my favorite iterations of Hunter. In Classic, if you had a weapon slower than 2.9, you would always prioritize auto shots. So delay aim shot to make sure your auto shots go off. If it was 2.9 or faster, you prioritize aim shots even if it clips auto. Currently, we have pretty fast weapons. And even though we don't have the faster quiver, I would still just prioritize aimed over auto in every case right now. Alright, that's the classic one. So where do we slip Chimera Shot into this rotation? That is pretty tricky actually. I've tried aimed shot first and I've tried Chimera Shot first. They share the same cooldown, so the difference between those two rotations was basically nothing in terms of damage. What actually makes this really tricky though is movement. You can cast Chimera Shot while moving. That is new for Classic Hunter. So anytime you have to move, your shots are now desynced. What I've found works best is I start with Serpent and Chimera, I cast those while I'm moving into position, then we go into aimed multi, and Chimera should be back up at that point. And at that point, we're basically on a prio system. So Chimera, aimed, and then multi. Chimera does not seem to affect your auto shots in any way that I can tell. Aimed shots will stop autos as normal, but again, unless you're using the Dark Iron Crossbow, that's fine. You're going to prioritize aimed over auto shots. If we're getting really low on mana, drop multi-shot. That is the worst damage per mana of any of our shots. If Chimera Shot is missing, your Serpent Sting will fall off, but I probably wouldn't bother refreshing it. With 100% uptime, the Serpent Sting dot is about 2.5 to 3% of my damage. The Serpent part of Chimera is about 3%. So unless you've got a lot of the fight left, I just wouldn't bother. Pets. The God King Scorpion reigns supreme. Yeah, no, he's fucking dead. That was good, but you can go now. I actually tested Scorpion quite a bit for Marksman, and Blizzard just doesn't know what the fuck they're doing. I was getting 20 damage per tick of 5 poison, and then with the BM rune, I was getting 25 damage per tick of 5 poison. So that is the correct amount, and it is pretty shit. So, what does that leave us with? Wind Serpent is still good. It's seen weird nerfs and buffs, but it's still good. You can learn Bite, so even if something is immune to breath, you can just swap over to Bite and you'll be alright. Cats are still good. I'm probably just gonna roll Cat. Now, when it comes to cats, people get all confused about melee attack speed. I've made videos about this in the past. It's not that complicated. Pet attack speed can matter in PvE if you have a Hemo Rogue or your tank is using Gift of Arthas. Neither of those are a thing at this level except the Epic Tank Chest Piece. That has a similar effect to Gift of Arthas. If your tank is using this, then you can get mileage out of a fast attack speed pet. If none of those apply, then I would go with a slow attack speed. That will give you more damage out of Prowl, we'll get that later, but also more flanking strike damage because that is not normalized. We're doing a melee edition later, so we'll talk a lot more about flanking strike then. Other option is Raptor. Raptors are essentially the same as cats, but Raptors are worthless after level 30 because they cannot learn dash for some reason. So if you wanted to use a Raptor, this is the time. And why don't they just add dash to Raptors for SoD? Simple changes like that should be done, but Blizz would rather shit on hunters than SoD. What about wolves? Probably no. Wolves are good damage pets. They're only slightly behind cats and wind serpents. But apparently, Furious Howl was bugged in hardcore. I have not had time to test that in SoD, and I probably won't for a long time. Something like that I would generally prefer to do in Dire Maul. You'll still want a wolf in the future for soloing, but right now it's probably a no, especially for DPS. You could also run a bat if you want. It is a slight DPS loss, but Screech? No, not that Screech. This is a situationally useful ability. Things don't hit that hard in BFD, but if you want it, it's not a huge DPS loss. Personally, I'm running a 2.0 speed cat with bite for now as Marksman. Alright, stats and consumes. Stat prio is basically the same as Classic. Agility at the top, then attack power, then int, stam, spirit, and strength. Strength jumps way up to 3rd place if you are weaving. Secondary stats like crit and hit are fantastic, but there's no real stacking of those at this level. And there's no piece of gear you're going to use just because of crit or hit, except for maybe gloves, so it's not really a consideration right now. Consumables at 25 are pretty simple. Any food. yeah, there's no special food at this level, so anything with a well-fed buff is fine. Black Fathom Sharpening Stones or oil. Obviously, these only work in BFD, but they're both very, very good, and they do stack. Right now, I am dual wielding, so using 2 hit stones. But 1 hit stone and 1 oil, if you're really having mana problems, is fine. In fact, I would assume that is the play on Horde side, since I have Wisdom on Alliance, and I am still having trouble keeping my mana going on any fight that's more than about a minute. Alright, the last one is your agility buff. Elixir of Lesser Agility. These are a bit expensive, but it's 8 agility. That is a lot of agility at this level. And Scroll of Agility 2. This is 9 agility. Damn. So that's like 17 agility. Nice. Yeah, no. If you've looked at other guides, you've probably seen this recommended. These do not stack. You get 1. The scrolls are also pretty expensive, unfortunately. There's a vendor in Desolus that can sell them unlimited supply. It's the guy at the end of the escort quest, specifically the one in the south. The one in the north sells potions. I'm not positive, but I think those only show up if the escort is completed, because I waited out there for a fucking while, like 2 hours. He never showed up. Professions. Professions, that's pretty easy. We thought maybe there would be some nice additions for existing professions. Not really the case at 25. Engineering is still good and leatherworking is quite good. I would go for either of those. Engineering has all the nice things from Classic. Leatherworking has the new Void Touch gloves that are quite good. We can surmise that this trend will continue and we'll get some dope shit at level 40, but we don't know that for sure. Since these epic gloves used an existing leatherworking blue item, I thought maybe 40 would do that as well, but there really isn't any options to do that outside of maybe gem-studded leather belt or shadow skin gauntlets. They could just upgrade a green item or make new items, who the fuck knows. And there is a small possibility of tailoring for PvP. Leveling. How is Marksman for leveling? Dog shit. Yeah, I'm sorry, man, but it's bad. It was not a good spec for leveling in Classic, and it's just worse now. Seriously, it's so much worse. It's really bad. Your pet could not hold threat in Classic. It definitely can't hold threat now that you have Chimera on top of that. It just has no chance. What you could do is run Marksman Talents, but take the BM rune. Then your pet can just taunt off you. If you really, really like aim shot and want to play that way, then that's okay. But aim shot and Chimera shot for leveling is just, it's not going to happen. Unless you want to try and kite mobs around, and I don't know why you would want to do that. Even if you take the BM rune, you got to be a little bit careful with aim shot and a non-BM pet, because this happens all the time. Yeah, it takes a second for the mob to react to taunt, so he just runs his ass right up into the dead zone, interrupting your aim shot. It's super annoying. Marksman's place in the meta. So where is Marksman in the meta? Right now it is behind BM, and I think it's going to stay that way for this phase. However, it's a pretty fun playstyle, and the damage is not massively behind BM. You won't suddenly go from first to last, although if you're not first, you are last. You'll be behind good warriors, rogues, BM hunters, and maybe ferals, but you'll still be pretty high up. My last raid as Marksman, I had a nearly 180 DPS on my top parse. My gear is not that good. I haven't had a ton of time to gear up. I've been working on alts, you know how it is. With a little bit of gear, I could easily see Marksman hitting 200 DPS. And I can't see it with any real certainty, especially because they keep changing how BM pets scale. But I can say that right now it at least feels like Marksman scales better. I feel like I've noticed a bigger increase in my damage from Marksman than I have as BM as I've gotten gear. But again, that's really hard to say because they keep changing BM. And can you melee weave with it? Yeah, kind of. Max weaving is kind of off the table a little bit, and it's a little bit difficult to slip Raptor in there, but it can be done. Because remember, even though we have an extra shot in there with Chimera, it can be cast while moving, and Raptor is off the global cooldown. So you can cast Chimera as you start to run in, and then Raptor. It feels a little bit strange, but it is doable if you're really into melee weaving and Marksman. If melee weaving specifically is your thing, honestly, I would just roll BM for now. You have a lot more chances to slip those melee weaves in. Which brings up the question, do you want the BM edition next or melee edition? Actually, I was going to do the BM edition first, but hey, guess what? Blizz keeps changing shit for BM, so I really couldn't do that. Marksman has been relatively steady, so I thought we'd start there first, and you know what? I have actually been enjoying Marksman. Chimera makes it a little bit more different than I expected. And the DPS is a little bit weak. Chimera definitely did not need that nerf, but it's far from a dumpster fire. Single target, I think it could outperform every other ranged, barring BM. I highly recommend checking it out if you're bored of BM. And hit that subscribe button, like button, Marksman still fun button, all that other shit. I appreciate each and every one I get, and we even have a membership option. Click that join button and check it out if you want to support the channel. My members are dope shit. I will probably continue some streams. Maybe we'll do Druid next. And of course, we will continue this Hunter series, interspersed with another series I'm very excited about. Let me know what videos you are most interested in seeing about SoD, and there's also that raid promo in the pinned comment. It's pretty cool, check it out. But that is going to be all for this one. I really appreciate you all watching, and I will see you all for the next one.